are some of the opportunities for investors to mine gold from the market this year, so to speak?
You see, investing is like looking for a life partner. When you, supposing I want to marry, I look for some qualities in the lady I want to marry. Similarly, when you want to invest in a share, you have to look for some qualities in the company you want to invest in. You must love that company. You must love its products. You must love its management. You must be committed to it for the long term. It's not like one night stand type of situation. So I give you an example. I invested in Scotia DBG, and thanks to Chris, I bought the share at $1. How many times I got bonus, how many dividends I have got, and the share is now $23. I bought Kerala's at $1. It is now $60. And the amount of dividends I have got is tremendous. So, despite all the fiscal things and things which you talk about, and you have told us, despite all the fiscal challenges, despite all the high energy costs, despite all the crime, there are always investment opportunities around. The question is, you have to find them. There are always beautiful girls around, isn't it? Yes. Now, you have to find the right one and stick to him.
How do you find the right one?
Well, I told you, you have to look for the attributes that you are looking for a long-term relationship. I bought shares of a company called Ranbaxy in India. I bought them 30 years ago. I invested 20,000, say, Jamaican dollars. The value of that investment today is $2 million. If you bought McDonald's in 1965, when it was the IPO came, and invested $1,000, you know what will be the value today? $1 million US. And that is forgetting the dividends you would have received already. Same thing with Microsoft. Same thing with Amazon. There are opportunities worldwide despite all the problems. Because despite everything, the world population is growing, the world food production is growing, the consumption is growing, middle class is growing, technology is growing, products are growing, research is growing, growth is taking place despite all the talk of recession. The iPod, right now, you know how many iPods are there in the world? 15 million. You know how many they will be in 2 years' time? 100. The development is taking place. You have to find the right opportunities. There are investment opportunities in Jamaica also. There are undervalued companies. You should find them, invest in them, hold on to them, and the money will grow.
Yes, sir. What do you say to the small investor who is apprehensive about investment?
I think generally there's been a risk aversion, for investors. As I mentioned earlier, I could almost guarantee that 80% of the current investors are those that invested 10, 15, 17 years ago. The dynamics between risk, understanding risk, accepting the concept of risk is going to be critical. Because if you're not willing to tolerate a certain level of risk, then you will not be able to feel comfortable going ahead and investing. The young investor, what I would say is, you have to understand the dynamics, go back to the basics of investing. The concept of diversification, that's not going to change. And encouraging young investors, use examples of persons or opportunities that you might have missed, and look at the benefit that person have accrued from those opportunities.
Yeah, I also want to say that, I mean, we I think, explored this topic probably 2 or 3 conferences ago. And one of the huge challenges, certainly from a Jamaica perspective, and I mean, I know that's not the case in Barbados and Trinidad, but certainly from the Jamaica perspective, one of the challenges had been the high risk-free rate. And that, I think, has allowed us to begin the process of changing the dynamic of fixed income to equity in each individual's portfolio. And there is no better selling point than performance. And as long as there are companies out there that perform and give investors a good dividend yield and give investors good transparent governance and good products and convince the investors that there are a good company to invest in, we're going to see a more vibrant exchange. I also want to say, because I know this presentation is not limited to the equities market. I also want to say that I think that not only will we see increased vibrancy in the junior market portion of the exchange, but I think we will also see increased vibrancy in commercial paper type transactions. With the absence of GOJ from the fixed income space, obviously because of the IMF agreement, and the high bank rates, there are going to be an opportunity to step to investors with fixed income instruments that can provide financing for blue chip entities at much better terms and provide investors with an uptick on their yield outside of the straight repo product. So, and that of course can also be listed on the exchange. Exchange is not limited to just equity instruments. So I look forward to also being shown opportunities in the fixed income space with good commercial paper transactions.
Okay. Listen, you have a final question before we take some questions from our audience. The question I'd like to pose here: there are a number of investors who want to take advantage of the uptick in international markets. We see the Dow trading above 12,000 yesterday, S&P trading above 1,200 level, the Nasdaq is also up. What do they do?
Well, for the most part, I think the investment broker dealer, the community hasn't really allowed locally that type of access.
Yeah.
But certainly, from my understanding, there's different ways to access it. You can open your accounts online, but I think the challenge though is investing in the door, not understanding what you're doing, right? Can be some challenges. You have a lot of companies in the States, and to be able to get the proper research, to be able to understand it, you have to do that, right? The framework is not here. So for the most part, you're going to have to do your own research. The profitability, the feasibility for local broker-dealers to effectively make a reasonable return from providing that service is very low, because the entrance, the cost of entry in that market is extremely high. So we'll have some challenges where that is concerned, but it is not impossible because there is easier access, especially in terms of access through the internet online. You can end up setting up your own accounts.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from our panelists. We'll now take a few questions from the audience before we wrap up.